This is the Comedy Kiosk, podcast by Mondae and Munoz. Please welcome Mondae and Munoz. Hello and welcome to the Comedy Kiosk, a podcast in which we discuss news, opinions, facts, and ideas about comedy. My name is Igor Mondae.
And I'm David Munoz.
And in this episode, we will talk about something a bit different and personal, comedy and love. So we will try to... I told you not to do that. Oh man, you had to. So in this episode, we will try to discuss the influence of comedy in relationships, what kind of partner you can find to support your career, hobby choice, what can you expect from them and what they should expect from you, and so on and so forth. So let me start with asking David a question. David, you are married?
Yes.
Recently married?
Yes.
And I know that your girlfriend then, wife now, comes to the shows, supports you in this and so on.
Yeah.
How important is this for you in your relationship and to you personally?
Okay. Very important. It's a big factor. And it's actually one of the factors that made me kind of like, will I marry her or not? You know, making that choice. Look, I think the person, and this is where we may disagree, the person doesn't have to support you in the sense of come to all your shows and things like that. It is nice, of course, if they're interested in it and all that sort of thing. And I do think it makes definitely a big factor, but it's not necessary. But they have to at least respect your choice, your hobby, your thing like that. If they don't, then that's a killer. You know, that's just a killer.
I mean, when I say support, I don't mean that, you know, literally they should be there every time and they should not do their things to come and support your things. But yeah, I agree. They should understand it. They should respect it, because for me personally, like, comedy is a big part of my life. Yeah. Like stand-up and organizing, like running the club and so on. It takes my time. Yeah. And it's like where I spend most of my weekends, evenings and so on. Plus, besides this, and as we talked in our, I think maybe second episode or something like this, I think I'm a comedian by nature. So even if I'm not at the club or on stage, I'm still the funny guy. Right. So if you're like annoyed by jokes, or if you don't get stand-up, then I see potential conflict or just, you know, lack of interest or losing interest over time, because, you know, this is who I am. So you should be into that. So what do you think? What are some characteristics that would make a good partner for a comedian, or a bad partner, or let's say incompatible partner?
Okay. Well, the respect part, I think, is probably the number one. If they don't respect, like, people who do comedy, they think it's like a frivolous, stupid little attention-grabbing sort of thing. Like, they look down on it. No. Like, that's just absolutely, because then you're just that loser. But it could be for anything. Like, you know, if someone is really into collecting Pokemon cards, and the person's like, oh, he's got his little stupid little hobby, you know, it's just this ridiculous time waste. Can't believe I spend money. That's already a bad sign. I mean, you know, it's like any hobby. Like, you've got to appreciate the fact that your partner has a hobby. But honey,
I got to catch them all.
Yeah.
But you're never home. You don't even know the names of our kids. And you're like, but I have Bulbasaur.
Yeah. And isn't that the name of the child number 3? His third stage.
The evolution.
Yeah, the evolution. But no, it's. I think respect is number one. They got to respect your hobbies and whatever hobby you have. So it's not just comedy. Any hobby that you have, they got to respect the fact that you enjoy it. They may not like it, but you have to they have to go, oh, that's your thing. That's fine. So I think that'd be one. Number two, though, another part would be, can't be really jealous type sort of thing. Because of the nature of comedy being on stage, it's like dating a guitarist or something like that. There are going to be people that come up to them after a gig or something like that who are going to probably flirt and things like that. And of course, you can't be an asshole to that person. You can't just say, you know, go away, I'm married, or I have a girlfriend, or I have a boyfriend, or whatever. You know, you talk to the person, you're friendly to them, you're nice, and they have to understand that that's why you're being nice and friendly, that you're not flirting back, you're just basically going, I could have a potential fan here who could come back and watch, not just for me, but it's for the club, you know, as in repeat customer, whatever. So there's that, they have to be understanding. It'd be like dating an actor who, you know, has a wife on stage, you know, and they kiss. But the spouse, if they're the really jealous type, who's like, you kiss her 3 times. It's in the script, honey. Like, yeah.
Well, that's a little bit, I think even more people would be more understanding to that because that's called acting, like pretending. But if I like run a club or at least perform and after the show I see like 3-4 people like regulars, if I go and shake like 5 hands of different guys, it's fine. But if I hug one girl, if someone is jealous, like, who is she? Does she come often?
Yeah.
Do you know her outside of the club? And you know, of course, like the main point of being a performer is to be a performer on stage, but kind of knowing your audience, chatting a bit before the show, after the show, and things like this is also are important because you can get people that will like you for who you are, that will give you their contact, that will maybe networking, hook you up with a job.
Recommend you to their friends to watch.
Maybe you don't lose a business card. You know, like it opens up doors. And so that's why maybe they'll bring more friends next time.
Exactly.
Maybe they come regularly and so on.
Now, I'm not saying that jealousy should not be like, you know, it's like you can't date anyone who's absolutely, you know, they have to have zero jealousy. No, jealousy is okay. It's a human emotion, but you have to be able to communicate about it. You know, like the person will have to understand, okay, I'm feeling a little bit jealous about this situation. And if they ask, you know, oh, who was that person, whatever, you know, I have to understand, I know how it looks, don't worry, you know, blah, blah, blah. But it's the fact that you need to have that communication if it is there. You know, I can understand why someone would be jealous. Like, you know, role reversal, you would be a little bit worried if your girlfriend or someone was like, hang on, does this guy come often? And, you know, he brought you flowers after the show. Like, what the hell? It would be a little bit, but they have to understand, like, you have to understand them, but they also have to understand how you feel. So, you know, it's recognizing the fact of, I know what that looks like. And I know that person probably is flirting with me, whatever. But I also have the added advantage that I'm actually pretty oblivious of when people are flirting with me.
I know, I tried so many times and you're like, let's hang tomorrow, man. I'm like, come on, I was flirting with you.
But even my wife has made jokes about the fact of how oblivious I am and how I miss signals and stuff like that. So if anything, if a girl is flirting with me, most of the times I don't know they are. It's not until after the fact it's like, she was flirting with you. Was she? Yeah, she brought up this, she did that, she was playing with her hair. Oh, okay. And that's why I think that's one of the reasons why she trusts me is because she just like, he wouldn't, even if I slapped him in the face.
Too dumb to cheat.
Exactly. He's too dumb to cheat on me.
Oh, that's why as a like club producer, show manager and performer, like I always try to like meet people and talk to people and socialize and so on, but also try to keep it professional. Yeah. Because I mean, it's also, you don't have to, like be all physical or something with people. Like you can be nice and polite and pleasant and so on without coming off too strong or letting them come on to you, like kind of, or even taking advantage of that. If someone is really into you or likes you, like be like, yeah, you like me, come and see me again and bring 10 friends or I will not talk to you, like kind of.
Right. So, have you ever dated the jealous type as a comedian while being a comedian?
I don't think so, or at least maybe I didn't know.
Another dumb idiot.
Oh no, it's me. It was me all along. No, but I have dated or at least like met girls that were completely not impressed or not interested in comedy, in stand-up, and I think it was never going to work because for me, it is a big part of my life. And it's nice to see that and I don't expect them to be there every time and to sacrifice all their like time and whatever to come to be on my shows and so on. But it's really nice to know that someone understands and likes and supports the thing you do, especially if you really want to like do it full time at some point or something like this. And I think it goes both ways, of course. If the partner has some of their own like hobby, passion, dream, whatever, for you to support that. But I think in the last like 6 years, I've been doing stand-up. 3 like, let's say, successful or good or whatever, like serious relationships or something were with people who liked comedy in general, liked stand-up and came to the shows. And it kind of, to that extent, that it became, let's say, a test. Like I meet someone and like we meet once or twice and then I say, hey, do you want to come to the show? Because, I'm like, what are you doing Friday evening? I'm a comedian, I perform, do you want to come to the show? So they come to the show and after the show, they're like, oh, this is great. Like, it's so nice to see that like people do like English comedy in Moscow, and the community is so nice, and the show is so funny, and you're really funny as well. That's very important. If they say that, that's already a good sign.
Yeah.
And so on. I'm like, okay, this can work. But I've had some situations where like, yeah, this was fine. And I see that like with the corner of my eye, I see her like most of the time on her phone and stuff.
Yeah.
Or like just, it's not like her cup of tea. That's perfectly fine. That's like if you took me to like, I don't know, basketball game. Yeah. I just don't enjoy watching basketball. Like I know the rules, I know how it works, but I can watch football hours and hours long, but I just don't. So I would, if my good friend said, I'm playing this very important basketball match, can you come and support? I'd be like, yes. And I would cheer and clap and so on, but I would not be interested. And at some points I would like just drift away and check my phone and stuff.
Right. But in that case, like people do, like, for example, married partners who are really into sports, but they themselves are not. Like, they have no interest. So they're basically like, yeah, you go off and hang out with your buddies and you do your basketball thing on Friday nights or whatever. And, you know, they go out and they drink beers and then they come home. And that's just like their hobby that they do. And they say, oh, I don't understand why they like it. You know, it's just a bunch of sweaty guys running around bouncing balls on wooden boards. In that case, can you have that same sort of relationship with a comedian, though? Would it still work the same? Where, like, a girl, you could meet a girl, she's absolutely, you know, amazing in every way, whatever. And the thing is, she just doesn't have a thing for comedy. She's like, yeah, you go on Fridays and Saturdays, whatever. On these nights, you do that. Or do you think it's different with comedy than with other hobbies, other interests and passions?
I don't know. It depends on how much it, like, bleeds into your personal life. Mm-hmm. And this is something we also discussed previously, because I think you can be a comedian by trade or a comedian by like character, right? So if it's a thing you do for yourself and to be those like 5, 10, 15 minutes on stage, but then that's it, I think it's not that necessary for the partner to share this passion or obsession or whatever it is with you. But if you're just a person who is the funny one, who cracks jokes, who entertains everyone, and your partner just doesn't find you funny or doesn't share the sense of humor or doesn't like, you know, jokes and stuff, then I don't think, well, I mean, then it's just...
Well, no, that's just a basic fundamental won't work any relationship.
Yeah, like, but I'm saying, like, if you're a basketball player, that doesn't define you. But if you're a comedian, I think, or entertainer or performer, it defines you in a way.
Yeah, no, that's not what I mean, though. I mean, like, as in, like, they love the fact that you're funny in, like, when you hang out in your living room and go to restaurants. Like, they like your personality. They dig everything. It's just your shows, when you go to perform or you want to go to a comedy club just to watch your friends, they're like, nah, not my thing. I just don't like comedy clubs. I don't like watching stand-up comedy. Like, basically, someone being an hour and a half talking about themselves, you know, without, like, with just them talking for an hour and a half, making jokes or whatever, or watching a series of people doing 10-minute bits of just their life. I don't care. Being funny in a conversation dialogue between people or at a party, that's fine. I love that. But clubs and the actual setup of stand-up, I don't like. Can you date someone like that?
Well, the thing is, I don't know. It's really hard. It's hard. I mean, you know, you don't know until you are in such situation. And
so you've never dated anyone like that?
I can't really remember. But I mean, I can say that it's fine with me that, I don't know, if I do shows, let's say Friday and Saturday every week. So if someone would show up like once a month, you know, just kind of, I'll come tonight, but I'm not going to be there every day. That's fine with me. But if you're going to be there every day, that's also fine with me, because it means that, you know, I can count on you being there and so on. But if you're never going to be there, because I think, especially the way we do it, it's about a few things. Like, it's, first of all, it's community, right? So I know you through stand-up. I know some of my very close friends here through stand-up. So you're missing out not only on like a little thing I do for like 10 minutes on stage. You're missing out on a big part of my life, because many of those people are my friends. Many of like problems or stress or things I would have would be like work related, stand-up related, that I want to share with you. But if you don't know what's happened there, who are these people, I will not be able to get some proper feedback or help or support from you. Plus, and I think it kind of connects a lot to the next thing I wanted to talk about, is responsibilities. Because in a relationship, you have some responsibility towards your partner, right? You don't just make decisions for yourself. You can't say, I'm leaving on a 6-month tour, goodbye. They'll be like, oh, wait. So what about me? You know? So I think I have to, like, because I'm not just a performer, but I'm like an organizer and stuff. I kind of have to be there every Friday and Saturday. Yeah. Not, of course, like I can find a replacement or we can organize it some way, but I like should be there. And most of the time I am there. So if you don't understand that, or if it's not interesting for you, we miss a lot of time that we could spend together. And it also means that, because for me, as we discussed previously in one of the episodes as well, for example, personally, I would like to turn this into a job, into a profession, do this like full time. That will probably include like some traveling, some sacrifices, financial, time-wise, some, moving around or whatever, like change of lifestyle, understanding some things that, so it pulls the other person in, whether they want it or not. So, I mean, if they want it, it's good. If they don't want it, it's some kind of like rape, like comedy rape. I'm pulling you into my life of entertainment and amusement and these kind of things, but you hate it.
Yeah. Well, no, I'd say this is where I think my wife and I really have lucked out with each other, in the sense of, it's not just about her. I mean, we're talking about like, relationships with a comedian and love with comedy. This is what we're discussing. But for us, it's also art and relationships with artists and love with artists, because she's an artist. That's her thing. And it's equal between us in the sense of, she supports my comedy, I support her art. And I think that's the real sort of thing there between us. Is it's not a one-sided, I have this big aspirational comedy and she's just someone who lounges around the house and doesn't do really anything. No, she has her passion, she has her thing. So when it comes to, like you were saying, coming to the club, now she comes and she considers like my comedy friends her friends as well now. She's really kind of in it, and she gets to know people, and because she's gotten involved in it, for Steal the Show, she helped paint the walls or design like the little thing and put the stencils on and all the rest. So she's involved in it, sort of thing, but she's got her art thing, right? And there are times where she goes off and she does her sketching with her friends for a couple of hours on a Sunday or something. I don't go with her because that's just me sitting around. I sometimes get invited. I think I have gone maybe once or twice, but usually I don't go.
But that's a little bit like if we had a workshop or something, and like 6 of us sitting around the table and kind of try to help each other write jokes, and then there is like one non-comedian partner just sitting there like, when is this shit over?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But on the other hand, like when we go traveling, of course, we're in Italy, or for example, like we have been, and she goes, oh, I really want to sketch this. I'm like, all right. So, I just make sure we sit at a bar so that I can order alcohol, get chips and things like that. While she's painting away, I'm looking at my phone. That's usually a lot of times when I do my comedy writing, that's when I do my workshopping. It's like, you do the painting, I'm going to start writing and thinking of ideas and stuff. And like you said, like we've discussed, we talked about the Edinburgh Fringe Festival and going there. And a big part of that is when I'm deciding how to do that, she's there, she's part of it. She wants to come to Edinburgh with me. And I wanted to be there, it'd be great. And, experience it together, doing the whole lot. So, when it comes to how do we do it? Well, we need an Airbnb. Well, how many rooms will we need? Well, it depends if Igor has a girlfriend or not.
Did you say how many moons do we need?
Rooms.
Oh, okay.
How many rooms do we need?
Do you count time in like moons? What is this?
Yeah, the moon goddess is like ruling our lives, man. Like,
David the Aztec.
Yeah.
How many moons do we need this
the pagan believer. No, but the thing is, so when we're planning about it, it's almost like, there has to be a room big enough for both Elena and I. It's like, it's a joint package. At the same time, when she's had exhibitions in Venice, Carcassonne, things like that, I haven't been able to go to all of them. But we try, so I've been to quite a few of them, and whenever she has it, it's like, can I go or not? The only reason why I haven't gone is either because of financial reasons or work. Like, I couldn't get the time off. That's the only reason. But it's a reciprocal back and forth. I respect her passion, and I fully support it, and I want her, and I think that's a big thing with us. I want her to enjoy and be successful at it. And she wants me to enjoy and be successful at mine. I think that's a core thing. The person wants you to succeed at it, even if they don't get it. Fine, but it does help if they do. And actually, Elena's now gotten really into the whole comedy thing. Like, there are times where she starts rattling off some stand-up comedian. Goes, yeah, but he's got the same style as that guy. I'm like, Jesus Christ, you remember that?
Yeah, I think basis of any relationship is this kind of understanding and respect for the other person's like passion and hobby. And I would say like you should always be able to do different things together. Right? Yeah. As you said, like she can go off and do her sketches and you will spend that time writing some material or just checking your Instagram or whatever. Mm-hmm. But but you're doing different stuff. But
yeah, flirting with your fans to make sure they come back to the next show.
Yeah, they do different stuff together. But I also think when it comes to some compatible professions, maybe, or something like this, if you're both in arts, you will understand each other better.
Locked out there.
If because if one person has a very, analytical, mechanical, like some kind of mind, and so they're all about, what can they be all about? Like time physics, management, physics.
No. Excel. They're really into spreadsheets and
they're all about spreadsheets,
statistics,
and you're all about acting out your silly joke where you poop in a forest on stage. I'm not saying that people who like Excel can't have a sense of humor and enjoy comedy, but I'm not talking about like what you do or what are your hobbies. I'm talking about the mindset.
Yeah.
And you just won't get each other. I don't know like how to. I've out of the relationships, the kind of successful relationships I've had, or even like dates, or even like friends, if I look at kind of, it's people whose profession or hobbies or interests overlap with what I do. So they are either in some kind of marketing, PR, sales, something like this, where they also spend a lot of time like talking to different people, meeting people, in a way performing and so on. Or it's like linguists, so something like this, it's also important for them, or psychology, sociology, because like stand-up and so on, performing is a very interesting way of, also expressing yourself, but also analyzing people who do it and so on. So something like this. I can say that I've had some success with people from completely unrelated industries, manufacturing of something, lawyers, bankers, something like this. Even though I know some people like who are, by trade, by day, it's, financial auditor, and then by night, the most hilarious person I ever met.
Yeah.
But that's an internal struggle to fight, But I don't know about like the partner. I'm saying that there's like an ideal profession for a comedian to date. No. But I'm saying your interests and your understanding of this should overlap.
But I think actually I'm just coming to realize while we're talking, it's like this is not really how to date a comedian. This is more like just how to have a relationship. What I mean? It's like actually this applies to anything. Like whatever you're in, it's possible, but it's better. Will help things run smoother. Communication is a big deal. If you have these jealousies, you need to be able to talk about it and be able to say it calmly, and also be able to receive the information calmly, not be defensive, not be aggressive, not be da-da-da.
Obviously, those are like rules of thumb for any relationship.
Yeah.
But also, I think when it comes to, because I always go back to the thing that I think a comedian is not a hobby. Like, cross-stitching is a hobby. It doesn't make you a cross stitcher.
But you're saying more like a calling?
Yeah, I'm saying like it's a you have to, well, you don't have to. It can be a hobby. You can show up, do your 5 minutes and leave and have your life completely. But for example, in our case, I know that a lot of our friends are part of this circuit, part of this like group of regulars, residents and so on. Yeah. And it's kind of, and we travel sometimes to other cities and this kind of stuff. So I think as opposed to many other hobbies and professions, this is the one that in any performance art, because you have to talk to people after or before, you have to have a network of people to help you set up shows and so on. It pulls you in, it pulls you in, and then it pulls your friends in, then it pulls inevitably your partner in, because I think all my friends were on my stand-up show. I don't think I have a friend in any country, in any city, who's like, when I said I'm doing a show here tonight, that they said, sorry, not for me, I'll skip.
Okay, yeah.
So I think like this is the kind of thing that, because this is a thing that pulls other people in. So it's not just, I'm a lawyer and they're like, oh, can I come and watch? Can I sit in the court? It's not a thing that pulls you in. It's just like, oh, it's your job, do your job. But this is a thing that you need to share with people, and you want to share with people around you, right?
I guess. I mean, I've got friends who probably wouldn't be that into comedy as such, but then I haven't hung out with them in a while, because here in Moscow, most of my friends are in that. But no, I do have a couple I've got a couple of friends who probably have never actually come and seen me perform or something like that. It's fine. I'm just the funny one in the group when we're chatting, and actually they're quite funny too. But but when it comes to but that's a friendship, that's a little bit different. I know them through other means, and there's other things. when it comes to a partner, of course, it would make things run a lot more smoother. So that sort of stuff. But for me, mainly, it's about the respecting. It's about respecting each other's thing and all of that.
I mentioned in one of our previous podcasts the thing about like when I meet the being funny factor.
Oh, with the Tinder dating?
Yeah, not just like any dating. Like even after the show, like if I chat to someone, I meet someone, and I'm like, hey, I've seen you around, I want to go for a drink and stuff. So like first meeting or few meetings and so on.
Is that your actual usual introduction? Hey, I've seen you around, let's go for a drink?
That's how I met you, didn't I?
Oh, right, fair enough.
But yeah, and it's in the end, like in the beginning, it would be like, you are so funny. Mm-hmm. That's so great. Like I really love spending time with you because you crack these jokes. You're so witty. It's like I'm always like laughing with you and so on. And then in a month is like, is everything a joke?
Yeah.
Does this ever stop? And I'm like, no, it doesn't. So if you can't deal with it, like leave now because it really doesn't. I mean, I like being funny, like not because it's like an attention seeking thing or something. I think, like some people.
You just like to laugh through life.
Yeah. Some people like, I don't know, memorizing random facts and trivia. Some people like numbers, like calculating stuff. Some people like something else, like physical, like gym or something. I like to crack jokes. So it's kind of like asking a person who goes to the gym, like, will you ever stop exercising that biceps? Like, no, why would I stop exercising the biceps? Like I like to have a nice biceps. So it's kind of like, I think it's either you get it or you don't. So I think for comics, a good partner is the one that does. But here I'm talking about comics that are always comics. I know some people that do this seriously and professionally, but they have their stage persona where they like crack jokes and whatever. And then they have the other normal life, right? Yeah. Outside of that. So I think it's individual, but I do agree that to date a comic, I think you have to be a certain type of person that's also like artsy, funny, that understands. But and when you talk about responsibilities, if you're really seriously considering that going somewhere, and you should understand that this is a lifestyle. It's not a hobby, it's a lifestyle. That's what I was trying to get at. And what do you think about, and we now started this topic a bit with me saying, if I approach someone at the show and I'm like, I've seen you around, blah blah. So what do you think about comics using their stage time and performance and so on to kind of get attention of girls or boys and so on, and then asking the audience out? And also,
who's done that?
Well, people do that. I mean, I know people who got into comedy to to get exposure, let's call it like that, that they would
well, the same as being like a guitarist in a band. Some people do it just to get laid.
It's and anyways, it's an icebreaker. What do you do? Oh, I'm a whatever. But in the evenings, I do stand up. It's like a why not? It's just
it shows like, hey, I've got a sense of humor and
So I don't mean like they solely write jokes so that they could get laid afterwards. But not that. But I mean like, what do you think about in general using this platform for meeting people but not as networking, but for romantic or sexual purposes? And then the second question was, in the circuit of comedians, what do you think about, like, would it be the same as dating a colleague in the office? What do you think?
Well, to answer question number one, damn, I wish I'd thought of doing that in my early days.
You've never thought of doing that? You've never, wait, I've seen you perform. Have I ever seen you perform single?
Aha, see?
There we go.
That's it. So before I started here in Moscow, I was already dating a girl, and I came to the shows with that girl. I probably only performed once as a single guy. Only once as a single guy. And then the next time I came back, which was when I came back from Spain, I was with my now wife. So I was dating her. So only in my entire time, including the Australian show, actually, even if we're including the Australian show, that's 2 shows then that I have performed as a single person. Every other time I was in a relationship. And considering, actually, and my only 2 long-term relationships have been while I was a comedian, And the comedy thing wasn't what attracted them. The comedy thing was not a factor at all, because the first one, I wasn't even a comedian then. It happened afterwards, about a month or two after we were dating. And for Elena, she didn't hook up with me because I was a comedian. We were friends. I mentioned that actually she was even sarcastic because she'd never seen me perform. She goes, "Oh, really, are you? Because I've never seen you perform." And I was like, ouch. But that's kind of one of the things that got me back into it. So no, I've never performed it as a single person. I did it because I just wanted to perform. I like making people laugh. That's like a thing that I have. I like making people laugh and having people have a good time around me.
Well, I would say that I've never performed to use it as an icebreaker opener or to meet people and to hook up with people and so on. And I can't even say that I've like directly used it, like after the show, maybe I did. I don't remember how I met all the people I met, but that I go off stage and I think I've killed this 15. I should talk to that cute girl in the club. Kind of now I
this
have
is my moment. I have momentum.
Yeah, exactly. Like now I have an in. I have something to to approach and be like, "Did you like that? I killed it. Let's go have a drink." But so directly, I'm not sure how much it helped me.
Yeah.
But indirectly, it helped me a bunch because I think my communication skills developed a lot since I started doing stand-up. My flirting skills, my, wittiness and so on, I can impress with a quick joke or say something funny, be charming, plus I think the stage presence, the charisma thing also, because when you and I host a lot of shows for which you need to have very quick mind and kind of charisma to get people to talk to you and to build up the energy and stuff in the room. And I think this helped me in an enormous way in breaking the ice and meeting people and flirting with people and getting girls to like me and things like this.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. And in a way, when I first, especially in the beginning when I first started doing comedy, I actually looked at it as you go on stage and you pick up the audience. That's what you're trying to do. You are trying to flirt with the audience. You're trying to make them see the good things about you. You're self-deprecating because that's, a way. It was basically go on stage and try to pick up everyone in the audience at once. That's, in a way, that's what comedy is.
Yeah,
and I think it's a good technique to kind of to get through. How should I act on stage? Just imagine you're on a date, except that you're not dating one person. You're speed dating everyone at the same time. You've got your 5 minutes and you're just trying to put forward this image that by the end, they will be smiling at you. Try to pick them up. And this is in a way why, especially in the beginning, now, not so much, but still a little bit, I feel better if I get the women to laugh than if I get the guys to laugh. Also because I think women are generally a bit more discerning in a way when it comes to humor. They're a bit more picky. So if you can get the girls to laugh, you get all the women to laugh, you're doing well.
Yeah,
I think.
No, I think it's a very good analogy and metaphor, because I do think, especially if we talk about crowd work or something like this, it is like flirt. Yeah. Not in a sexual way, not in a romantic way, but it's kind of you're teasing them so that they would like you, but you're also trying to, not offend them or something, but keep them interested, keep them on their toes, and be like, ooh, I want to talk to this guy.
Yeah.
And the main idea is for them to like you. Yeah. Because I'm not saying that we are all attention-seeking whores, for them to well, yeah, I might say that, but I don't want to. But I mean, the point is that they should. I think your purpose as an entertainer is to entertain. They should have a good time, and they will have a good time if they like you, if they enjoy this, communication, time spent, whatever process, right? Yeah. So same as a good 2-hour date is if it finishes and the girl or guy has enjoyed it. Yeah,
and wants to see you again.
Yes, exactly. And a good 2-hour stand-up show is if the audience has had fun, enjoyed it, and wants to come again. So in many ways, it's similar. And I think through one, you can learn the other. So through stand-up, I think I've developed many good skills for dating and relationships and meeting people.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me at all, actually. Yeah, and then the other thing is, like you were saying, when you're talking to one person, I want to, you're just kind of getting with them. But the thing is, at the same time, the other people are watching you, and it's like the other girls. I'm saying guys or girls who are watching, but it's almost like that. Oh, I hope he talks to me, or I wonder if I get a chance to, interact. That's what you're trying to build, because you're trying to build that atmosphere of hey, we've got banter going, we've got back and forth, he or she, whoever's hosting, they're good at this. I want them to do that with me.
Okay, so staying on the topic, I guess you have some questions you would like to ask?
Well, actually, the first one is off topic, but it introduces the next one for the topic. Okay,
all right, let's go.
What stand-up comedian got into a little bit of controversy because they made the joke, or they said the phrase in a joke, "I love chinks."
Can I ask additional questions, or should I just name a name?
No, you can ask additional questions. It's okay.
When was it?
Oof, I don't know, but not too long ago, like not the 80s or something.
All right, so like in this decade.
Yeah, I think so. Either this or last decade. I think maybe somewhere from 2000.
In 2000s, okay.
Yeah.
An American comedian?
Yes.
Male or female?
What do you think it is, male or female?
I don't...
With a phrase like that.
Male.
It's a female.
It's a female.
Yeah. So, boundary pusher.
All right, I see. Oh, man.
That's going to help, probably, I think.
Amy Schumer?
Close, but no.
Close, but no cheddar. Who is close to Amy Schumer?
No, in the style of like, boom. I have mentioned her name earlier today.
Oh, you think I listened to what you say? That's why we have
hopes.
That's why we record this podcast, so I can go back and be like, what was David talking about? Because I was just waiting for my turn to speak. That's how this works.
Spoken like a true comedian.
Yeah. All right. So it's an American woman. Mm-hmm. I don't know, man. Who is it? Oh, Sara Silverman.
Yes!
Of course.
Well done. Yeah, she got a little bit of controversy. But I like the idea, like someone who's in charge of like the Asian American community or something like that was like, you shouldn't say that and this sort of thing. But she was kind of saying, well, she was juxtaposing like a racist term with the word I love. Like someone who loves Asian American should not use that word. And the whole point was that her friend had told her, she was trying to get out of jury duty. And her friend says, you just need to say something racist. Like you write something racist on your fill out form and that's going to negate you. Okay, so now question number 2 is about Sara Silverman, continuing on. She was in a relationship with another comedian, a fellow comedian. Who was it? And actually, okay, because I think she was in with 2. So the one that she's kind of famous for having a long-term relationship with, who is a talk show
Jimmy
host.
Kimmel.
Yes.
Come on. Too easy.
Yeah, it was too easy. I know. But it was on the topic of relationships and you were talking about can 2 comedians, which we never actually answered, can 2 comedians have a relationship together? Well, they did. They did for a while.
But not anymore, so obviously not.
Yeah.
And I have a similar question for you. Okay. 2 other famous comedians that dated but don't seem like they could or should. Both of them kind of like Netflix, Comedy Central.
Is one of them like Offerman? What's his name?
Nick Offerman?
Yeah, Nick Offerman and the woman Megan something or other who was from Will and Grace. I know they're together. They're married.
They are married, but that's not what I meant.
Oh, right.
But they're actors as well, not
well,
like...
Yeah.
These 2 are mostly... Well, they're actually both... I've seen her in movies and stuff, but they're like stand-ups.
Okay.
Kind of young generation, up and coming. Come on, you can do this.
Yeah. So 2 young and up and comers.
Well, not up and coming. I mean, they're already like established now.
But they're young.
They were kind of up and comers actually when they were dating.
Okay.
One is very loved by fans, and one is very hated by fans.
What, you mean someone like Joe Rogan?
No. How is he young enough?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, that doesn't work. And Jim Jeffries then doesn't work.
Also no.
No. Okay, who's hated? The male?
The female.
The female. Interesting, but the male is beloved.
I mean, people think he's...
Like John Mulaney or something?
In that kind of... That era and that age and that group of friends, I would even say.
Oh, God, I don't really know that well. But the girl is hated.
I mean, hated is a strong word, but she has, I think, like 3 or 4, maybe 5 Netflix specials, and they did not go over well. Like, people did not enjoy it. And in general, kind of her style and stuff. She was the winner of the first, I think, Last Comic Standing, the talent show thing. And that's on the back of that, got like the contract and stuff.
Yeah, I have no idea who that is then.
All right.
Yeah.
It's Amy Schumer and Anthony Jeselnik.
Okay. But I know Amy Schumer more than I know Anthony Jeselnik.
Well, now you know both.
Okay, good for them. Good for them.
Good, very good for them.
Oh, that's lovely.
I mean, they broke up, so it's not that lovely.
Oh,
and speaking of comedians who dated and broke up, that's kind of my recommendation. Even though it's not a recommendation, you can't really see it anymore. Mm-hmm. But I think it's a very interesting concept. So if there will be like another opportunity to see something similar, because I know that it received a lot of critical acclaim and praise. So 2 British comics, Sara Pascoe and John Robbins, they were dating for a while, like seriously and so on. So it was like a real thing. And then they broke up, and they both decided to do a solo show about this, about the relationship and the breakup. And they both took it to Fringe the same year.
Oh, and awkward.
Yeah, and apparently like those were kind of the 2 hit shows to see. Because it was by 2 like ex-partners.
Do you think they planned that?
I don't think so, but they kind of, it happened and they were like, well, why not?
Grist for the mill, as they say.
Use this like motivation, use this inspiration and so on. And I think like a venting mechanism. So they both put on an Edinburgh Fringe show about their ex, basically.
But worse would be if one of them was like, it did end, but it was still a beautiful relationship. That was great. And the other one was like, man, this was absolute shit. I fucking hate that person. I hope I never see them again. You're like, whoa.
Or imagine if they both took shows to Fringe, and I don't know, like one is just like, oh, my ex this, my ex that, and the other one is like, so traveling. Just like completely ignoring
it. Yeah.
But he actually won the best show award for this show.
Oh, so how did Sara take it?
I don't know how did she take it. I mean, I think that they're still kind of friends and stuff, so I hope she was happy for him. But it's kind of just an interesting way of using what happens in your personal life and then taking it and putting it into a stand-up show. But it was funny that they both decided to use the same thing, and they both had a show about the same thing.
All right. Do you know the names of the shows?
Hers was Lads, Lads, Lads.
Okay.
His, I'm not sure what was the name of it.
It was the winner and you don't even know.
Yeah.
All right, well, just look up the names again. Sara Pascoe.
Sara Pascoe and John Robbins.
John Robbins. Okay, good shows to look up and get 2 different perspectives. Okay, fantastic. So my recommendation when it comes to relationships, okay, it's not really a relationship thing as such. It's the one thing I would recommend would be another podcast, actually. The Comedian's Comedian with Stuart Goldsmith.
We don't do that. We don't recommend other podcasts on our podcast.
Yeah,
what are you talking about?
Why not? Okay.
Because that's like you go to a bar and they're like, oh, psst, I know a better bar.
Yeah, at the bar. It's a bartender telling you. But this one is good because in the beginning, the starter series, and even Stuart says it himself, he was just trying to get interviews with people to explain how they did comedy, how they made their work, how they developed their jokes. And then he kind of realized that was sort of not really going anywhere in the sense of that everyone is so different. There was no set formula, and he started realizing it really is whatever you wanted to make it to, whatever you want it to be. So then it became more about how you make it big and things like that. So he started kind of veering more, and then he went more into people's relationships with themselves and their mental health and how they deal with things and trying to have families and trying to have relationships. So a lot of times he will discuss this sort of stuff, and I find it really interesting, and I recommend to anyone who also wants to know what it's like, but in much deeper single one-on-one interview format generally, talking to individual comedians and their experiences. So I would really recommend that. I found it interesting. The reason I found out about it was because of Ricky Gervais mentioning it on his talk show that he listened to this podcast. And I was like, oh, okay. And then I started listening to... Ricky Gervais referred to his podcast. On his podcast, he mentioned the Comedy podcast. See, people recommend other podcasts on their podcasts. Yeah.
All right. So basically what you're trying to say, once our listeners finish listening to all of our currently released episodes, if they have some extra time, they can also listen to other podcasts.
Only while they're waiting for our next podcast. Once our next one drops, they should automatically, just stop listening to Stuart until they listen to our latest podcast, and then go back to Stuart. Stuart's kind of the filler between the gold.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
And also, just to make sure that people do listen to our next episode, it's going to be a really good one. And here's a little teaser. The topic of our next episode is... And we're going to insert something here later. All right, so that wraps it up, I think, for today.
Yep. Well, thank you for listening, and we hope you listen to us next time. I've been David Munoz.
And I'm Igor Mondae.
Catch you later.
Goodbye.
Probably should have added this as the Comedy Kiosk, but anyway.